Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki Jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Ju ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatarashata Shishimar Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja Śrīla Guru Deva ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatarashata Shishimar Bhaktivedānta Vaman Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatarashata Shishimar Bhaktivedānta Swami Mahārāja Śrīla Prabhupada ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatarashata Shishimar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosai Maharaj ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatarashata Shishmar Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasati Gosai Prabhupada ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Śrīla Gorksharas Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishta Śrīla Satchidananda Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Rūpa Gauriya Guru Varga ki Jai. Shri Rūpa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhattadas Raghunath Shar Gosai Prabhu ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki Jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जाय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौरमंडल व्रजमंडल मथुर वृंदावन धाम की जाय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदत्त गिरिराज महाराज की जाय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जाय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जाय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जाय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। जय Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī's Upadeśāmṛta ki jai. These 12 articles of Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura on verses 2 and 3 of Upadeśāmṛta ki jai. Jai Shri Hari Nam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol, everybody. Dandavat Pranams. Anadi Krishna Prabhu, Kana Haladar Prabhu, Yugal Kishore Kishori Didi, and Gokuleshwari Didi. There's nobody on YouTube or Facebook yet. Pranams to anybody watching in the future, though. So we are continuing on with our reading of these 12 articles of Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura on verses 2 and 3 of Upadeśāmṛta. Maybe before we start, right? Let's do that. I should have done that in all the readings. Actually, I think I get a bit distracted when yesterday and the day before, I got a bit distracted sitting with the cows because they were being a bit, yeah, so I might stop doing that. I'm just opening up Upadeśāmṛta. Where is it? Upadeśāmṛta. There it is. Oh, it's in alphabetical order. Duh. Okay. So these 6 articles that Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura wrote are all about this verse of Upadeśāmṛta. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha Jana-saṅgaścha lolyamcha shadbir bhaktir vinashyati. And soon, once we finish reading through these articles, we're going to go through and memorize all these verses of Upadeśāmṛta. So, Bhakti is destroyed, vinashyati. Bhakti is destroyed by the following 6 kinds of faults. 1. Atyahara, eating too much or collecting more than necessary. 2. prayasa, endeavors that are opposed to bhakti. Then 3 is prajalpa, useless, mundane talks. And 4, niyamagraha, what we went through yesterday, failure to adopt essential regulations or fanatical adherence to regulations. And I think Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura clarified it's being, eager to follow regulations that are above or below one's qualification, or not being able to follow them, failure to, yeah. Then 5, this is what we're going through today. Jana-saṅga, association with persons who are opposed to bhakti. And then tomorrow we'll go through 6, which is lolyam, greed, our restlessness of the minds to adopt worthless opinions. Let's see. I should have read this yesterday. The word niyamagraha, when broken into its constituent parts, has 2 meanings. One is niyama agraha, which means overzealousness in following rules, and niyama, and then without a long a, niyama agraha. That means agraha means failure to accept rules. Those are the 2 meanings. Niyama agraha and niyama agraha. Agraha means zealousness, and agraha means not accepting. Okay. And then, all right. So now let us begin article number 5 in this series by Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura, Jana-saṅga, associating with those averse to bhakti. Oh, and I'm just looking at the comments here. Yugal Kishore Kishore Didi is asking. Oh, yes. Yes, Yugal Kishore Kishore Didi. Yeah, one is I have 2 YouTube channels. One is Vine of Devotion, and the other, well, actually, I have 3 YouTube channels. One is Vine of Devotion. The other is my daily live readings and the daily live programs. And the third one is Gaudiya Kirtan. And so the way, the link for all those is you just type in youtube.com/ and then the @ symbol. And then for these daily readings, you type in Madhu Das. So MADHUDAS. And that's where you get the daily live readings. And then for the Vine of Devotion things, those are none of those are live. Those are things that I put a little bit more time into, and I edit the video nicely, and those are, and so it's the same, but at Vine of Devotion. And then Gaudiya Kirtan. That's just different kirtan videos. Yeah, I haven't been so active there, but I would like to in the future. But that's also just at Gaudiya Kirtan. So those are my 3 YouTube channels. All right. And you can also find the links, I think, for those on my website, vineofdevotion.com. Okay, Jana-saṅga, associating with those averse to bhakti. The word jana refers to people, both men and women. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1-291, Sri Rūpa Gosvāmī has written, Sadho Sangha Svato Vare. A sadhak should associate with saintly persons who are more advanced than himself. A bhakti sadhak is in all respects naturally more advanced than karmis and jnanis. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 28 mentions, Yesham tantag katam papam jananam punyakarmanam te dvandva mohanir mukta bhajante mam vrata. Those pious persons whose sins have been eradicated become free from the bewilderment of duality, such as happiness and misery, and engage in worship of me with firm determination. Because devotees become freed from the delusion of the duality of sin and piety after completely surrendering to the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, it follows that the activities they perform are fully pure. They do not possess the tendency to perform sinful acts. Being under the shelter of the omniscient Lord, their fund of knowledge is not poor like that of the karmis and gyanis. Faith, Shraddha, and Krishna Bhakti develops as a result of spiritual merit, sukriti, accumulated over the course of many births. Devotees, therefore, perform righteous acts. What doubt can remain about this? Upon the awakening of Shraddha, one naturally obtains a taste for the association of saintly persons, satsanga. What cannot be achieved through satsanga? Bhagavan himself glorifies its importance. Ye me bhakta jana partha, na me bhaktaschate jana, mar bhaktanam chaye bhaktas, te me bhakta tamamata. It's from the Adi Puran. So Krishna says, O Partha, those who claim to be my devotees are not actually devotees, but those who are devotees of my devotees are my true devotees. It's a nice verse, huh? I remember learning this in Gurukul. So those who claim to be my devotees are not actually my actual devotees, but those who are devotees of my devotees are my true devotees. Haribol, Prajumna Prabhu, and Mantra Murti Mataji, and Nitai Mukeshji, and Gokuleshwari Didi. Haribol. The necessity of satsanga. Darshana Sparshana Lapa Saha Vasadibhikshanat Bhakta Punanti Krishnasya Shakshad Api Pukasham. That's Hari Bhakti Vilas 10:171. A mere moment of seeing, touching, speaking to, or associating with the devotees of Krishna purifies even dog eaters. Also, Śrīmad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 5, Verse 32 mentions, Naishamatis urukramangrim sprishatyanartha pagamo yadartha mahiyasampada rajobhishekam nishkinchananam navrinitayavat. The intelligence of those who do not consider the ultimate goal to be the dust of the lotus feet of great personalities who possess prema for Bhagavan and who are without material attachments cannot touch the lotus feet of Bhagavan, the destroyer of all anarthas. Bhakti cannot be infused into the heart of fallen persons who lack the association of Bhagavan's devotees. Satsanga is absolutely necessary for sadhaks. Therefore, we should understand that the word Jana-saṅga here refers to the association of persons who are devoid of bhakti. And just one thing on the word sangha, um, it's we always say that sangha is what does sangha mean? It means samyak rupena anugamana. That means to follow in all respects. So to be in sadhu sangha doesn't just mean to be in the proximity of a sadhu, but it means to be actually following the sadhu. What the sadhu's instructions, the example, not imitating. We should never try to imitate, we should try to follow. That's a big difference, anukaran and anusaram. But yeah, we should try to follow in the footsteps of sadhus. So you can be in sadhu sangha wherever you are in the world, even if you're in a city where there isn't another devotee, but you can still be in sadhu sangha if you are, following the instructions of sadhus and still trying to follow in their footsteps. Then you're in sadhu sangha, and it's like it's in your mind, yeah. There's never a time, and you're either you're either in sadhu-saṅga or you're in asat-saṅga. There's no other option. So you're either following the sadhus or you're following something else. You're following your own mind, you're following other people. And so, yeah, just wanted to mention that quick. Okay. The necessity of avoiding asat-saṅga. Śrī Rūpa Gosvāmī has Śrī Rūpa Gosvāmī has ordained abandoning the association of persons who are averse to Krishna as one of the limbs of bhakti. So this is one of the limbs of bhakti in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Eastern section, chapter 2, part 2, verse 43. Sangatyago vidurena bhagavad vimukar janai. One should give up the association of persons who are opposed to Bhagavan. It's one of the limbs of bhakti. Those who desire to attain Krishna bhakti must, before all else, renounce the association of persons who are averse to Krishna. This means that they should not relate with such persons through the activities of bhakti mentioned in the 4th verse of Upadeśāmṛta, like giving, or this is the 4th verse of Upadeśāmṛta, Dadati pratigranati guyamakati prichati. So we shouldn't engage in giving or receiving gifts, speaking to or hearing from them on any confidential subject matter, feeding them or being fed by them. Conversing with such persons in the course of ordinary worldly dealings does not qualify as sangha. Rather, it is considered sangha when such dealings are full of a binding affection. This is an important point. So it's not that we're, in asat sangha if we're engaging with materialistic persons. It's not like, oh, I'm not going to ever talk to anybody who's not a devotee, have any dealings with anybody who's not a devotee because they're asat sangha. No, it means sangha means dealings that are full of binding affection. Okay. It is essential for every practitioner of bhakti to know how many types of person exist who are averse to Bhagavan. Therefore, although we do not desire to do so, we are listing them here. They are of 7 types. 1. Monists and atheists, Mayavadis and Nastiks. 2. Materialist, Vishayis. 3. Those who associate with materialists, Vishayi Sangis. 4. The opposite gender, Yoshit. And there's a footnote here. Yoshit actually says, although the literal translation of the word Yoshit is women, it is apparent from the explanation below that the intended meaning is inappropriately associating with the opposite gender. Okay, and then 5. Those who illicitly associate with the opposite gender, Yoshit Sangis. 6. Those who make a show of following religious principles, the Dharmadvajis. And 6. Uncivilized and foolish persons of atrocious conduct, Durachari Mura Buddhi Antyaja. Now, Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura, he says that he's getting into all these reluctantly. He says, although we do not desire to do so, we are listing them here because it's important to know, but it's not like we get pleasure about talking about, all the negative things like that, but it's important to know. Okay, so 1, monists and atheists. Mayavadis do not accept the eternal names, forms, qualities, pastimes, and potencies of Bhagavan, and they believe the living entity to be illusory. Therefore, according to them, the living entity's existence is not eternal. They do not even accept bhakti to be eternal. Rather, they consider it merely a provisional medium to attain jnana. The entirety of the Mayavadi Siddhanta is opposed to the principles of pure devotional service, Shuddha Bhakti Tattva. For this reason, bhakti eventually vanishes by the association of Mayavadis. In Śrī Caitanya-charitamrita, Antya Lila 295, Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī is quoted as follows. Vaishnava hoya jeba shariraka bhashya shune sevya. Oh, sorry. Vaishnav hoya jeba shariraka bhashya shune sevya sevak bhava chari apanare ishwar mane. Vaishnavs who hear the Shariraka Bhashya, the Mayavad commentary on Brahma Sutra, gave up their mood of being a servant of their master, Bhagavan, and instead considered themselves to be Bhagavan. Those who do not accept the truth of a supreme controller as described in the Vedas are atheists, and their heart is contaminated with dry logic. Associating with them thus diminishes one's bhakti. Just one interesting thing on this, I think I may have mentioned it before. Um, but anyhow, Sundar Gopal Prabhu, he's been anyways, we all, I think most of us know he's about his dissertation on this topic of how bhakti is simultaneously inherent in the jiva, and it's also received from Shri Guru like that. But he recently put out an article in the what is it? In the what is it? The Vaishnav, no, the study of Vaishnav. No, I forgot what the. Anyways, he put out an article and he's going through Srila Jiva Goswami's he's going through the sources of like in the that Srila Jiva Goswami uses in the Shat Sandarbhas, and and a very interesting thing is that Srila Jiva Goswami, the terminology for that he uses, he accepts for all different things like gyan, karma, sayuja, all these different all this different terminology. He actually uses he agrees with the Advaitins or the like the impersonalists. Like he uses the terminology as they do. So the way that but the other sampradayas like Ramanujacharya and you know, they will say no, gyan means this, and that sayuja actually means something else. But so in one way, we have a lot more in common with the Advaitins, like the impersonalists, with the terminology. But um, we have Srila Jiva Goswami. Of course, it's totally opposite. Like they have everything upside down, and so, like we say that the Mayavadis, or sorry, yeah, the impersonalists, they say that that bhakti is a means to gyan, but we say that gyan is, can be like a step towards bhakti. But, or like they'll say that through Bhagavan, we can attain Brahma. But we're like, no, Brahman. So, in other words, they have everything upside down. But when it comes to the terminology and many things, we're on complete agreement. Anadi Krishna was asking, where can I read this article? I can share it with you. I'll share it with you. Yeah. Okay. So now, materialists. The association of materialists, Vishayis, is extremely dishonorable. Those who are always absorbed in sense objects, Vishay, are full of criticism of others, envy, and violence. Quarreling and hankering for sense objects is their life. The more they engage in sense gratification, the more their thirst for enjoyment intensifies. They do not receive an opportunity to hear and chant about Krishna's transcendental pastimes. Whether they engage in pious or impious activities, they always remain far from the truth of the soul, Atma Tattva. Śrī Caitanya-charitamrita, Antya Lila 6-78 mentions, Vishayir anna khaile malin hoy man. Malin man hoile nahe Krishner smaran. The mind of a person who eats food prepared by a materialist becomes contaminated. With a contaminated mind, he cannot remember Krishna. Those who externally accept sense objects in order to maintain their life, but remain absorbed in contemplating Atma Tattva, are situated in a much higher position than sense gratifiers who are attached to the fruits of their action. What is it in Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura's Swaniyam Dadashakam? I'm still a little bit rusty on the last verses, but I think it's, what is it? Abhaktanam anna grahana apidosho vishayinim katang. Yeah, anyways. Okay, so 3. People who associate with materialists. Both sense enjoyers are materialists, vishayis, and those who associate with sense enjoyers, vishayi sangis, are averse to Bhagavan. One who associates with a materialist is in fact a materialist himself, because he constantly meditates on sense objects. There are some persons who are not so much sense enjoyers themselves, but who take great pleasure in associating with sense enjoyers. One should not associate with such persons also, because one will quickly become a sense enjoyer. Whoa. So is Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura saying one should not associate with those who are not sense enjoyers themselves, but they associate with sense enjoyers. So one should not associate with those who associate with sense enjoyers. Yeah. No, Haribol Archana Mataji. I didn't see it before. Okay.
Haribol Prabhu.
Dhanavad pranams. There are 2 types of sense enjoyers, and those who associate with sense enjoyers. 1. Those who have made Bhagavan part of their sense gratification. Interesting. Those who have made Bhagavan part of their sense gratification. And 2. Those whose sense gratification is for Bhagavan. Huh. Interesting. Okay. The association of the second type of materialist is somewhat better than association with the first. Wait, so those whose sense gratification is for Bhagavan, yeah, their association is better than those who've made Bhagavan part of their sense gratification. Although materialists who enjoy pious sense gratification are better than sinful materialists, a practicing devotee should not associate with them until they become favorably inclined toward Sri Krishna. Simply dressing as a renunciate does not enable one to develop a natural detachment from sense objects. Even renunciates are often seen to collect objects of sense gratification. Like me. On the other hand, there are people surrounded by sense objects who appear to be materialists, but who internally adopt yukta vairagya, that is, appropriate renunciation, accepting everything favorable for the service of Bhagavan, and are fully absorbed in Bhagavad Bhajan. After carefully contemplating these topics, the sadhak should give up the association of vishayis and vishayi sangis and perform bhajan, either in solitude or, if he is fortunate enough, in the association of saintly persons. Very interesting. Those who made Bhagavan part of their sense graduation and those whose sense graduation is for Bhagavan. So I guess
how do we understand these two, Prabhu?
I know, that's what I'm just looking at this for the first time now also. I didn't read this before, and I'm also trying to understand.
So could it be like those who have made Bhagavan part of their sense gratification is like those who...
You just muted yourself.
Those who have made Bhagavan part of their sense gratification is like those who are constantly demanding from the Lord sense objects. And the second one, those whose sense gratification is for Bhagavan, is those who are actually want to enjoy their senses, but then they take Bhagavan as their means, in the sense, like for example, I want to eat something very nice like gulab jamun, and then I make Bhagavan as the means. That means I will make it nicely and offer to Krishna and then eat it. So in the sense, the actual thing is that I want to enjoy it, but then I take Krishna as the means to do it. And
Yeah,
and the
that
other,
seems
the first one
that
could
seems to
be
be the
that
first
I,
one. Like
no,
what you just
the
said.
first one is means my understanding. The first one
Mm.
is like, I want to eat gulab jamun and I ask Bhagavan, please Bhagavan arrange for gulab jamun for me to eat. It's like making Bhagwan part of your sense gratification. Like you're asking the Lord to help you to enjoy your senses. And the second one is you are endeavoring, but then you are endeavoring for your sense gratification, and then you are saying you're doing it for Bhagavan. I
Yes.
don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That that
That's
that
my
that
understanding.
that sounds right to me. Yeah. I don't have any. Yeah. And yeah, those whose sense gratification is for Bhagavan. I wonder also if this number two is kind of like Yukta Vairagya, sort of. Maybe not like the ideal form of Yukta Vairagya, because then he talks about Yukta Vairagya here, right? On the let's see. On the other hand, there are people surrounded by sense objects who appear to be materialists. No, but I don't think this is not one of those two categories. I think this is he moved on to a different topic, right? Yeah. But yeah, I think the way you explained it, it sounds right to me. Yeah. And it's true. I mean, like there is just in bhakti, there's so much um pleasure, like so much things that gratify our senses, like the in the like there might be very nice musical kirtan, like very beautiful singers and beautiful instruments and really delicious prasadam and so many different opulences just in the temple and like in the environment like that. And so I guess that's like they're getting some
Like
sense gratification out of it.
the desire to eat something which is not offered to the Lord, which is not meant for the Lord, is meant for our own senses. The desire to eat that is aparad. Then I was thinking of Madhavendra Puri also. When Madhavendra Puri desired that sweet rice, actually he didn't desire to eat it, but he desired to offer it to his Gopal. But then even that, just because he desired to eat it before it has been offered to the Lord, he considered himself an offender. So can
Mm.
we imagine how much offense we are committing?
Oh my God. Yes. But like for Madhavendra Puri, he actually didn't, that was only for service that he decided that. And he felt so guilty. And for me, I'm like, oh yeah, I want that. And I don't feel guilty at all. And it's not for service. Right? But yeah, I guess so. So it's somewhat better though. At least their enjoyment is for Bhagavan in some way. Yeah. Yeah. That's a great example though. Thank you. Okay. So now four numbers 4 and 5. There's the opposite gender and those who illicitly associate with the opposite gender. Male sadhaks should not inappropriately associate with women and female sadhikas. Um, sorry, male sadhaks should not inappropriately associate with women, and female sadhikas should not inappropriately associate with men. It is very harmful for those engaged in spiritual practice. Men and women are of two types. The contact and communication between a couple married in accordance with Vedic rules and regulations is not sinful, but it is considered to be pious, as it is in accordance with scriptural injunctions. But when such conduct takes place with a mutual attachment that transgresses the rules pertaining to one's duty, it is considered Yoshit-saṅga. It is considered Yoshit-saṅga for men and Purush-saṅga for women. This type of association is very harmful for those who perform or desire to perform Bhagavad Bhajan. If the spouse of a person practicing bhakti is guilty of inappropriate association, sangadosh, it becomes an obstacle for that person. If a wife helps her husband in bhakti sadhan, then associating with her cannot be called Yoshit-saṅga. But if she creates obstacles in his bhakti sadhan, then he should give up her association through sincere endeavors. And it doesn't mean he should divorce her, but he should just not be so, internally, like not be so close to her. Like he should be absorbed in his endeavors of bhakti and not like, yeah, be controlled in that way. The wife of Sri Ramanujacharya had a very quarrelsome nature and used to create many obstacles in his practice of bhakti. Initially, Ramanuja made great endeavors to correct her. But when he was unsuccessful, he left his house and her and departed for Sri Rangam. For us, Sri Ramanujacharya's character is ideal and worthy of emulation. Although some men are not married, they illicitly converse with women. This behavior is considered Yoshit-saṅga or Śrī-saṅga and is most abominable. One should thus attentively give up Yoshit-saṅga and the association of Yoshit-saṅgis. Śrīmad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 31, verse 35 says, Na tatasya bhaven moho bandhaschanya prasangata Yoshit-saṅgad yatha pungso yatha tat-saṅgi saṅgata. The illusion and bondage resulting from attachment to a woman or to the association of those who are fond of women is unlike that of attachment to any other object. Regarding the above-mentioned situation, it is not opposed to bhakti for a householder sadhak to touch or converse with his wife. On the other hand, a renunciant who has left his house should neither touch nor converse with women under any circumstance. Oh God, I'm very not a good example of this. Another thing that what is it? It's a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, isn't it? How does it go? Can't think of it right now. But more harmful, even more harmful than associating with the opposite gender or with women, like that. I mean, and it says women, but it means the opposite gender, is associating with those who are attached to women. So, associating with the Śrī Saṅgī, those who like intimately associate with women, not their wife, like that, is more detrimental than Śrī Saṅga, associating with women. Okay, now 6a. Those who make a show of adopting religious principles, dharma dvaji, and this is divided into two parts. So we're going over the first type. The first type of dharma dvaji. Deceitful persons who accept the external signs of dharma, but do not follow dharma themselves, are called dharma dvajis, those waving a flag of religiosity. Right? Like dvaja means flag. Dvaji is somebody who holds a flag. So they hold the flag of dharma. They broadcast, look how religious I am. Dharma dvaji. And they are always to be avoided. They are of two types: the deceitful and the foolish, or the cheaters and the cheated. It is considered contemptible, even within the realm of jnana and karma, to make a show of following dharma, but not actually follow it. But in the realm of bhakti, it is the means of utter ruin for the living entity. There is no association in this world as bad as that of dharma dvajis. Even materialists are better. For the sake of their own interests, dharma dvajis deceive foolish persons by outwardly bearing religious symbolism. Some of these rascals become gurus, and thus they make disciples and gather money, kanak, women, kamini, and prestige, pratishta. Remaining far from the deceitful trickery of such persons, a sadhak is to perform Bhagavad bhajan without duplicity. Such non-duplicitous bhajan is the only means to attain Bhagavan. Śrīmad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, verse 38 states, Saveda dhatu padavim parasya durantaviryasya ratangapane yo mayaya santataya nuvritya bhaje tatat pada sarojagandam. The strength and valor of Bhagavan, who carries the wheel of a chariot in his hands, are unlimited. No one can understand their depth. Although he is the creator of the whole world, he is completely beyond it. Only those who render uninterrupted service to his lotus feet without duplicity can understand his form and the mystery of his pastimes. Śrīmad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, verse 42 further states, Yesham sa esha Bhagavan dayayed ananta sarvatmana shitapado yadi valikam te dustaram atitaranti cha deva mayam naishang mamaham iti dhi shvashigala bhakshye. The unlimited Bhagavan himself bestows mercy upon those who surrender everything to his lotus feet without duplicity. Only the recipients of his mercy cross over the insurmountable Maya, not those who possess the conception of I and mine in regard to the body, which is destined to be food for dogs and jackals. Okay, so this is all about the first type, who are duplicitous, right? Cheaters. And now the second type of Dharmadvaji, I think those who are foolish, right? Or no, did I get it wrong? Anyhow. Yeah, it starts here, deceitful and the foolish. Anyways, let's see. Okay, 6b. The second type of Dharmadvaji. When one internally maintains faith in Mayavad and externally exhibits the mood of identifying as a Vaishnav, it is called duplicitous Vaishnavism, Kapata Vaishnavata. In the Śrī Caitanya-charitamrita, the following verses are mentioned in relation to such a Vaishnav whose name was Ramdas. Ashtaprahar Ramanam Japin Ratri Dine Sarvatyaji Chalila Jagannatha Darashane. These verses are from Antya Lila chapter 13. So this was 93. He says, Ramdas chanted for 24 hours, the entire day and night, and gave up everything as he journeyed for darshan of Sri Jagannath. Ramdas jadi pratam prabhure milila, Mahaprabhu adhiktare kripa na korila. Antare mumukshu teho vidya garvavan, Sarva chitta gyata prabhu sarvagya bhagavan. Same chapter, verses 109 to 110. When he first met Sriman Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu did not bestow extensive mercy upon him. Internally, Ramdas desired liberation and was conceited due to his learning. But because Mahaprabhu is Bhagavan and all cognizant, he knows the hearts of all. Thus, in order to perform pure Hari Bhajan, one must give up the association of Dharmadvajis. The majority of people in this world are in the category of Dharmadvajis. Therefore, as long as one does not come into the association of those who are pure, it is more beneficial to spend one's life in seclusion and engage in bhajan and sadhan. 7. Uncivilized, this is the last one, right? I think so. Uncivilized and foolish persons of atrocious conduct. Associating with foolish, uncivilized persons whose views and conduct are disgraceful destroys bhakti. Foolish persons with an uncivilized nature kill animals and eat their meat, drink wine, and do not observe varnashram dharma. Their character is always lacking in discipline. The association of such persons of bad character, the duracharis, contaminates the consciousness. But if a person born in a family that does not follow Vedic conduct displays faith in and a serious taste for bhakti, one should associate with him. In taking his association, one need not fear inauspiciousness. He should still be considered a sadhu, even if he sometimes exhibits inappropriate behavior due to his previous nature and impressions due to his samskars. Śrīmad, wow, this is interesting, huh? So if somebody's trying to follow bhakti, even if they still have, because they're born in a bad family and they have bad habits, bad samskars like that, still their association, they should be considered a sadhu, right? Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita 9, chapter 9, verses 30 to 31 has determined this in clear words. Apichet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak sadureva samantavya samyak vyavasito hisa kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim nigacchati konteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. Even if a man of abominable character engages in exclusive devotion to me, he is still considered to be considered a sadhu, because his intelligence is firmly fixed in bhakti to me. He quickly becomes virtuous and attains eternal peace. O Konteya, boldly proclaim that my devotee never perishes. The essence here is that if a person with an uncivilized nature and ill character develops faith and unalloyed devotion and ananya bhakti due to some spiritual merit, some sukriti, then he is worthy of being considered a sadhu, because he will become righteous, dharmatma, in only a short time. Initially, for a few days, one may witness some ill behavior in him that has resulted from his previous impressions, but still, he should be considered a sadhu. The association of such persons cannot be considered bad association. Śrīmad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 20, verses 27 to 29, mentions their symptoms as follows. Jata shraddho matkatasu nirvina sarvakarmasu veda dukhatmakan kaman parityage pyanishvara tato bhajyetamam pritta shraddhalur dridhanishchaya jushamanaschatan kaman dukho darkangscha garhayan proktena bhakti yogena bhajato masakrin mune kama hridaya nashyanti sarve mayi hridistite. Sarve mayi hridistite. The gist of these verses is that the association of persons who are averse to Bhagavan and sinful by nature is definitely abominable. But their association would be abominable even if they are pious. On the other hand, the association of persons who are dedicated, unmukh, to Bhagavan, but outwardly seem to be sinful, is also satsanga. This does not apply to those who are averse, who are vimukh to Bhagavan. Wow, so it's really not about the externals. Even if somebody is pious externally, but they're not dedicated to, they're not dedicated to Bhagavan, then they are bad association. But if externally somebody's sinful, like they outwardly seem to be sinful, but they are dedicated to Bhagavan, then they are satsanga. And people externally would think it's the complete opposite. So Mahārāja Katyayan, he is mentioned. Varam huta vahajvala panjarantar vyavastiti nashori chantavi mukha Jana-saṅga vaishasam. That's from the Katyayan Samhita, and also quoted in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1-51. Oh, wow, this is a heavy one. It is better to be burned in fire or spend a lifetime imprisoned than to suffer the pain of associating with persons who are averse to Krishna. In the practice of bhakti, it is essential to perform one's actions with an impartial attitude after carefully considering all these points. And why is it better to be burned in fire or spend a lifetime imprisoned than to suffer the pain of associating with persons who are averse to Krishna? Because if you're burned in fire or you spend a lifetime in imprisoned, then that's just one lifetime, that's been wasted, or one lifetime that goes by. But if one is actually no, sorry, I'll take that back. If one associates with persons who are averse to Krishna and they become materialists and completely turned away from Krishna, then it could be many lifetimes that they will, before they come back onto the path of bhakti again. So, yes. All right. All right, so that's our program for today. Hari Bol Yashoda Didi and Chatamai Mataji. Sorry, I didn't see you before. And it's 7:52. So yeah, that's it. I'll do a short Mahamantra, Jaidvani, and if there's anything anybody wants to mention, you can do so. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Alright, Jai Sachinandan Gaur Hari Ki Jai, Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai, Jai Srila Guru Dev Ki Jai, Jai Srila Param Guru Dev Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai, Swaparshad Shri Gaur Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Gan Ki Jai, Shri Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai, Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Shri Gaur Gadadhar Ki Jai, Shri Radha Madhav Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī's Upadeśāmṛta Ki Jai, these 12 articles of Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura Ki Jai, Shrinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Sattvatai Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat Pranams, dear devotees. Oh, I'm just seeing on right now, Śrīpad Bhaktivedānta Sajjan Mahārāja is joining us. Dandavat Pranams Mahārāja. And I see there are a few other devotees on YouTube and Facebook. Dandavat Pranams. Let's see here on, maybe Indira Mataji is there, I think. And here on Zoom. Anadi Krishna Prabhu, Kana Haladar Prabhu, Yugal Kishore Kishore Didi, Chatamai Mataji, Haribol, Pradumna Prabhu, Mantra Murti Mataji, Archana Mataji, Gokuleshwari Didi, Yashoda Mataji, and anybody else who's watching in the future, or anybody I missed, Dandavat Pranams. So is there anything that anybody wants to mention before we end today's program? All right, so then tomorrow we will go through the article on the topic of lolium. It's greed. And I think that this one is divided into two parts. Anyways, we'll get there. I'm not going to try to explain it. My very limited understanding. We'll go through it tomorrow. And then after that, and tomorrow is, what's tomorrow? Tomorrow is Utpanna Akadashi. And in Gopinath Gaudiya Math, they are following the disappearance of Narahari Sarkar Thakur tomorrow. And I think and I guess in our calendar it's, I don't know, different calendars say different things, but I did that, comparing different calendars, and according to Gopinath Gaudiya Math calendar, not our own Bengali calendar, but the Gopinath Gaudiya Math calendar, tomorrow is Narahari Sarkar Thakur's disappearance. Maybe we could still read about him also, if there's, because these readings are more short. So, all right, Haribol, Dandavat Pranams. Thank you so much for joining. See